world that's constantly chasing what's new, it's often the youngest minds that bring the most meaningful change. While most teenagers are busy planning their future, this young change maker is already shaping one. Meet Aahan Gopalkrishnan, a 17-year-old student from Mumbai who is here with us, and with his idea and imagination that came to life with a project called Boundless, reimagining how our public spaces can be more inclusive, accessible and truly designed for everyone. Well, his idea, born during a summer internship, is now drawing attention from architects and city planners, proving that empathy could well be the foundation of spaces we build tomorrow. Welcome, Ahan, to our show. And, my first question to you, you're just 17 and already starting conversations around the inclusive design, as we know. Tell us what inspired you to take on something as meaningful as Boundless.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this show. And I would like to start by how my ideation stemmed for Boundless. So it started off with a very personal experience. And I have an elderly grandmother at home and she suffers from arthritis. So, I have been helping her everywhere, pushing around her wheelchair. And whenever we go to spaces like malls, cafes, or, sort of areas that we usually access with the elderly, we see ramps, right? These ramps are built according to design solutions. However, these ramps are extremely steep, and I myself found a lot of challenges pushing my grandmother up these ramps. That's where the idea stemmed, that are these designs actually useful, or are they just implemented for name's sake? Which is why I thought of Boundless. This is how we make design inclusive, and we also alter the norms of design to make it actually beneficial for the people.
That's right. Ahan, let's talk a bit more about the name itself, Boundless, which sounds very, very powerful. What's the thought behind it, and what does your project, literally aim to achieve at this point?
So the name Boundless quite literally means breaking the bounds, and breaking the bounds between the normal people and the people who are differently abled. I wouldn't call them disabled. So it's basically about breaking the bounds. And when we look at design, when is design actually inclusive? Design actually becomes inclusive when we don't look at the differently abled from an empathetic lens. We look at them from a lens that they are one of us. They are one of the people who also require these designs. Inclusive design doesn't just mean design solutions which are only for them. It means design solutions for everyone. It means breaking the barriers between a differently abled person and a normal individual. This is how the name Boundless came into my mind.
That's very, very interesting, Ahan. You've talked about empathy. You've talked that empathy lies at the heart of your design. Was there a personal experience that literally pushed you to look into accessibility in this new way?
So the first personal experience, which stemmed from a very young age, would of course be the personal experience of aiding my grandmother. But I would also like to talk about Studio Pod, a company that I interned with this summer in 2025. Studio Pod's motto is design for the people. They work with design solutions which are oriented towards people and towards inclusivity. This is how the idea came to my mind. We visited a lot of blind schools while my internship in Studio Pod, including the Victoria Memorial School of the Blind in Mumbai. Speaking to the individuals there, we got to know that what design interventions currently exist. Although design interventions exist, they are not catered to the needs of the differently abled. If we see everywhere in our city, or at least in my city, Mumbai, where we see train stations or even pathways do not have tactile paving. Train stations do not have Braille. Even if they do, Braille is a script, not a language. So there is no multilingual Braille available. These are some things we looked at. When I visited the school, I saw a lot of blind children. They were able to navigate quite easily as they were walking through their school. But I saw them stepping out, and I saw them really having a challenging time trying to navigate their way through the city. This does not only stay with people who have visual impairment, it also expands to people who have physical disabilities and also intellectual disabilities. If you often see the signboards that are present in cities, the colors will either be blue and white or green or other colors as such. However, we got to know from the school that the best colors for people with intellectual disabilities would be those of black and yellow, which we barely see implemented anywhere.
That's right. It is very, very inspiring to hear it from you. And finally, if there is one message you want to share to the people, especially, for the future architects and planners to take away from Boundless, what would that be?
So I have also interviewed a lot of architects during this short span of time, and they tell me that inclusive design has not yet reached its peak or its true potential. People are working towards it, but the change is of course going to be slow and gradual. Through Boundless, what I want to tell people is that inclusivity shouldn't be an afterthought. The ramps and the inclusive designs that we make shouldn't be an afterthought, and they should always be incorporated in designs. They should be the base of designing. When you design any space, you should also think of people with, the various kinds of people who exist in the world, rather than the normal set of individuals who exist. And Boundless should really help with that initiative.
Right, Ahan, thank you for joining us here and giving us an insight about Boundless. We look forward to this initiative.
Thank you.